This is a good example of what I was saying earlier, where you have like corporate suits making a game for kids, and they had no idea what they were doing at all. And it was like they tried to make this like espionage thriller fighting underworld thing, and it was complete garbage. I mentioned Annihilation was the first movie I walked out of, but this was the first time as a kid I went to a movie and was like disappointed, where I was like, I want my money back. Like I am so upset right now. It is bad.
Yeah, and I think that fueled my sort of like more love for Mortal Kombat, the video game, because that movie was like, I don't want to play Street Fighter. This is stupid. I love Jean-Claude Van Damme, but like, why the hell is he playing an American soldier in this story?
Yeah.
You know, not even trying to like get rid of the
Clearly,
accents.
he's a Belgian soldier who has fled the army and is in New York fighting underground because he's got such a lion heart.
That would be way better.
That was the original spot I opened, and it was like a tiny, tiny hole in the wall space. It was like maybe 200 square feet, and I had like 8 to 10 arcade cabinets like crammed in there, and was doing like used video game sales. But yeah, so anyway, I closed the store. There was a fire and a flood, and I had to just cash out. Like there was everything was covered with insurance and everything. It was a sad moment, but a lot of people have no idea what arcade cabinets even are.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I feel
no,
like
totally.
with
Yeah.
with the pandemic, there's like a shift to everybody having, souping up their kind of home system, and the arcade cabinets are kind of amazing.
Oh yeah,
Or like
there's
little
nothing.
consoles,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. There's nothing that can replace like a CRT monitor and just like the speakers and the sound and like when all that like I still get goosebumps when I hear the Simpsons arcade game, like the Simpsons, little jingle at the
Hmm.
beginning of
Hmm.
that. Like hearing that on an arcade machine is different than, hearing that over emulation. And I don't nothing can replace that for me, but a lot of people are fine with, being in their living room with it too.
Yeah. Well, here, okay, you just talked about it. And as a tangent, I was actually going to maybe bring up just for your opinion.
Yeah.
So you have emulators, and there are these sites that you can, like, if you have an emulator, download, and there's debate on like the legality of emulation of games,
Yeah.
downloads. And like I've always held the belief that like if I own the NES cartridge, then if I had that emulation on like one of my systems, I downloaded an emulator, like I paid for it. Like I own it. Like it should be okay. And I know there's like this copyright thing, but it's this weird thing of digital and not. But like I once thought, if Nintendo has an issue or whatever, like just set up a donation site and people be like, I'm gonna give you 99 cents for every song, like every emulated game that I'm gonna use, and I'll pay you. Because if you were buying it online, like if you're buying an NES cartridge, unless it's Punch Out or a couple of the like key ones, they're not super expensive.
Right.
And I feel like Nintendo could make a lot of money that way.
Yeah, no, the video game industry definitely has to figure out this because I think it's a preservation issue more than anything because there's so much like lost content out there that if there weren't people dedicated to emulating it, it would be completely gone.
Hmm.
You can get Super Metroid and Legend of Zelda games, every version of those. I've probably bought those games 10 times over now at this point.
Hmm.
But like, there's so much lost media out there that if there wasn't an emulation happening,
Yeah, it just wouldn't exist.
it wouldn't exist. Yeah. Also, there's like, I mean, I got super jaded. I'll be honest, running the store because there's people that come in and they want to buy a game that is like $200 and they just want it because they want to own this thing that they hear is expensive. They don't actually care about playing it, and so that drives the price up of some of these games
We're
that are
talking
really good.
Wu
Right.
Tang album for whatever his name is,
Right.
Shrekky or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of games that are inaccessible to people because of the price point, because they're super collectible. But if you emulate it, I don't know.
But
Like
like in terms of like the
yeah.
emulators, like is it like what Nintendo Switch has with like their online, like their subscription with like the access to like the classic games? Isn't that in a sense an
Some of them, I
emulator?
think. Some of them, yeah. They've like upgraded them. I mean, Andy probably knows better than I.
Well, they've definitely done a better job with the latest generation making things accessible. But it's like with the previous handheld generation of 3DS, you were like buying the games a la carte, and now you have a subscription to Nintendo Online, and that gives you access to certain games. But there's different like price points, and I don't know. It doesn't feel quite like the solution yet. Like I said, I think the game preservation part of it is going to continue to grow to be more and more important to people into gaming. But you can play quite a bit on a Switch for sure. But and then when you get into like original resolution, because original TV is a 4:3 ratio, and games get distorted, and then things aren't pixel perfect, and then there's lag in the button input. Like for casual gamers, it's probably fine, but for people that want to, and remember and want that exact experience when they're a kid, it is not really one for one.
All right, so after all that banter, welcome to Trailer Teardowns, where we take a trailer or multiple trailers and discuss the nuances within them that make us want to see it or take a hard pass. I'm one of your co-hosts, Evan Bass-Seisel, with co-host Angel Acevedo, and today with special guest Andy Jimison. And today we're discussing the trailers for Mortal Kombat 2 and Street Fighter. Welcome, Andy. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. And this is the new Street Fighter movie reboot. So yeah, Andy, thanks for joining. Wanted to bring you on because I know you have a passion for video games. You used to own and run a retro arcade in Massachusetts, so figured this would be a good fit to talk about these two movies, these two trailers. But with all guests, we like to bring on, since we're talking about trailers and movies, want to get a sense of like your sort of like movie watching habits and what sort of gets you excited to see a movie, specifically in theaters, if all that. And I know you're a family man like both of us as well, so probably don't get out as much to go see movies, but
Yep.
What does it for you? What does it for you in a trailer?
Like if you see a trailer, you're like, oh my God, I don't, what's going to get you super excited? What gets you super excited to see a movie?
And just as a background, like one of the impetuses for this podcast was I was in LA and I was hanging with Angel, and Angel was like, oh, you got to see this trailer. And I think he brought up Sinners, and we both were like, this is how you do trailers. Like, this is a great trailer. And that sort of got us going of like, like that's, there's such an art to it. But I'm going to shut up now and just let you talk.
Yeah, no, I've been listening to a bunch of episodes on your guys' podcast, and I love it. I've always loved movie trailers. I think obviously the trailers sometimes are better than the movies, and I don't know, some of the trailers are just like pieces of art in themselves sometimes. So I think
you hear that, Patrick? You hear that wherever you are?
So yeah, what gets me to go to a movie? I'm definitely, all the, nostalgia stuff that's coming out, like the MC. Obviously everyone's tired of MCU and superheroes and blah, blah, all that, but I'm down for all that stuff. Like, I'm still optimistic every single time I go to see one of these movies that one of them is going to pull it off and really deliver something. So, I'm down for all of that. All of that IP. I'm usually there for that stuff. Some of the more like serious movies, and unless it's like Oscar buzz or something, I'm probably gonna wait to see it at home just because I just got too much going on.
Cool. And so yeah, we're talking about movies or video games turning into movies, and that's been a thing since the early 90s, and it has not been a good streak.
Nope.
Well, okay, but here's
hold on. Yeah.
Like,
starting, I think, I don't know what the first one was, but like, the big first one was the original Super Mario Brothers movie from 1993, I think. And Nintendo back then was one of the biggest systems. Super Nintendo was out already, but that movie was a bomb. It was horrible. It was a disaster. And like,
it was also
that just sort of started the trend of like video games turning into movies. They did not turn out well for 30 plus years. It only took like maybe in like 2019 when they started like getting, all right, they're getting a little bit better, but like all the Resident Evil movies are, generally not great. And there's a slew of others. I like pulled up a list on Rotten Tomatoes, and I was like, holy cow, I forgot some of these were movies. Yeah. Obviously, the two movies we're covering today are reboots of previous adaptations, and we'll touch on that, I think, when we discuss the trailers themselves. But all in all, when people think of video game movies, they don't have a good rep.
Well, I also think it's a little bit of threading the needle that for so long, directorially, how do they make the movie? Do they lean into the video game side? Are they keeping it serious? Are they like making fun of themselves? Like I feel like when X-Men came out and you had Wolverine kind of like poking fun at the genre, or you have Taiki Waititi directing what is it, the second Thor, like Thor Ragnarok. Like you get some of the humor that I feel like was completely missing from the early generations of the movies. And so then you're just like, oh, like the dialogue's gonna be bad anyway. And like if you actually are trying to take this seriously, you have a director at the beginning of a film because it's their vision, and I feel like they didn't think that through.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to the what's happened with superhero IP over the last decade, in that those early video games were like the people making those movies didn't really understand the content, and they were making these movies that they thought were going to make money, or they thought they understood what the kids wanted or whatever, but they didn't really have any idea. And now you
Mm-hmm.
have the people making the movies now are the same. They grew up with those video games, so I think there's more an understanding overall of what the fan service needs to be, and I don't know, trying to balance that with a story maybe.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it's similar to the comic book stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like with comic books similar, I think it took a while for comic book movies to kind of really click, and they eventually clicked earlier than video game movies. I feel like video game adaptations took a while to like, okay, now they're working a bit, whereas like I think comic book movies were like 10 years ahead of it.
Yeah, and something the TV format too, I think is better, because like you look at Last of Us. I mean, I think that's like a much better format for that type of a
Hmm.
video game
Mm-hmm.
movie.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. And we don't really talk much about TV stuff here. But yeah, I was going to say, like, yeah, I think the TV format, the long format, does seem to work better for those video game adaptations.
Which also makes sense because it's like the journey, right? It's the individual player going through. Like, oh god, I remember the OG Doom movie that came out where they were trying to do like first
Oh,
person perspective, and you're just
yeah.
like, and it was, oh man, but like,
I mean, they tried.
but they're trying, but they're like, okay, how do we translate this? Because you want to bring in the fan base that knows the video games.
Yeah, and I think well, I think like James Gunn and other people like that obviously cracked the code of like how to do it, I think, and then obviously a lot of people are trying to copy that. But I think the video game stuff is, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think the Street Fighter. I mean, we get in. I don't know which one you want to talk about first, but I mean, I think both of these trailers are kind of evidence of, I think, people trying to do something similar, when kind of balancing the comedy and the action and the
Hmm.
fan service and all that. Like both of these kind of represent kind of that in my mind.
Yeah. So okay. So Mortal Kombat 2. This movie is directed by Simon McQuoid. Stars Carl Urban, Ludi Lin, Jessica McNamee, Josh Lawson, and a few others. And this movie is coming out on May 8th. Quick stats here. So when did you guys start playing video games?
I mean, I definitely had an NES growing up, and that was kind of like my first real console. My dad, I remember we got an Atari at like a garage sale, and we would go to the flea market every weekend and pick up like $1 Atari cartridge and stuff. So I definitely have like a familiarity with that kind of original console Atari generation. But I mean, the NES, like I was like the perfect age for that. That hit me real hard, and then Super Nintendo, and then it just kept evolving, and you know, PlayStation era, N64 in high school, and then it just never stopped really. So, but yeah, I was there at the beginning with the NES.
I think I'm in the similar boat. I remember playing Pitfall for Atari,
Yeah.
which is you just, for those who don't know it, you just swing across. You have to like jump to this like a rope, and then you swing, and you have to let go of
Hmm.
the rope, and then you've got past like the alligator, and then you just like keep moving. I think, but that similar. I think we must have picked it up at a yard sale or
Yep.
something. And then the first real console was NES. I remember Zelda. We had, I think it was like Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, and maybe Zelda we had. And I remember when we got it, my dad's house, they were like, you can't play it unless like, the time permits. And so you could play it in the morning, but only if you've had your breakfast and you have like nothing to do before like the bus comes or whatever. And I remember my older brother and I woke up at like 4 a.m. that morning And we like went downstairs and we got all ready and we had breakfast and then we went and played like 2 hours of video games while everybody was asleep because you're like, we technically finished everything and we had our breakfast and we're all ready to go. And like drawing the map of Zelda like on the ground and paper to like try and map out everything. And then I had a Sega. Mortal Kombat was, I think, the top game that we played on Sega. And then I actually don't think we had a console after Sega, but I have a Shield TV. And so that is an NVIDIA graphics card and kind of builds in a gaming system into it. And technically you can put an emulator on it. And I did play Call of Duty, I think Angel at your house once, and then I bought it. But then I played it for like 9 hours straight. I was like, oh God, this is addictive. And I like, can't, I should not play this because I'm in trouble. And so then I never played it again.
Yeah, similarly, NES was my first system. I think I was like 7 or 8 when I got it. Had a few games. Then I upgraded that to like Sega Genesis. Had a few games there, but then that kind of paused. I think my parents were like, yeah, no more video game systems for you. Like, and I wasn't like crazy. Like I wasn't like a game junkie. It was just like, I think they were like, yeah, we're not going to spend money on this. So Sega Genesis was like the last system I had, like as a, growing up. Now my kid is into Nintendo Switch, so play that.
Gotcha. I forgot to mention my wife has a PlayStation, and she was really into, I think it's Witcher 2. And we'd actually for a long time we played in tandem where this is I think it's probably like, the gender role reversal in this case. It's stereotypical. She would play all the fighting sides, and then when we got to a place to play Gwent, I was like, put me in, coach. Like, I love playing Gwent. Just like, can you get to, like, I read an article once and it was like, The Witcher is really just a game about card gambling where you also have to fight a little bit too. And I was like, that was my perspective. I was like, okay, you go, like, you do all the like the battling and the getting things, and then like if you could get to a tavern, like, let's play some Gwent because I think I can do this.
That's funny. Yeah, I have a friend who similarly, like, him and his brother would play, but his brother was really into the fishing simulations that were hidden in games. So one would play the game and the other one would just play the fishing sim. So.
It's good, like if you have your like your zones, like,
yeah, oh yeah,
great partner games. Like I was like, you could do the fighting. Like I tried it once. I was like, okay, it's like you have to know so many different combinations. I was like, you got this. You got this.
I was a Mortal Kombat junkie. I had that on Sega. I had Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. Loved it. Played that. And I preferred that over Street Fighter.
Well, Street Fighter was also like more of an arcade game. I feel like Street Fighter was arcade. Maybe this is just me. Like arcade, and then Mortal Kombat was arcade, but then also on the Sega. Like I guess I don't know.
The arcade versions of both of them came out first, obviously, but then it was the 16-bit era. I mean, you mentioned the Genesis. I had a Genesis too. That's one of my favorite consoles. And the console wars at the time, Super NES and Genesis, was like, I mean, that was a huge thing. And like getting those arcade ports onto those systems was still a challenge at that stage. Like it really took the next generation to come out before there was like arcade perfect ports of those games. So I remember at the time the Genesis version of Mortal Kombat had real blood in it, and the Super Nintendo one had like green goo type blood. Nintendo didn't want blood in it.
Well, only when you use the blood code.
Well, right.
Down, up, left, A, right, down.
But the blood code, yeah. So, but Super Nintendo didn't have any blood even with the code. There was no code for it, I think, for the Super Nintendo. Right? Wasn't it just Genesis?
Yeah, I don't remember because I just had the Genesis version.
Okay.
And I think that the Genesis versions of those games were better than the Street Fighter ports of those games. And obviously, Mortal Kombat's whole thing with like the hyper violent stuff was, a big draw to like 90s kids, I think. So I think a lot of people have more kind of cherished memories of Mortal Kombat on consoles. And Street Fighter, I think, even though it was on the consoles, I think the memories and the nostalgia people have for Street Fighter happened more in the arcade, where like people were lining up and like challenging each other and that whole thing.
Well, I also feel like the specific moves of Street Fighter were a bit harder to do on the consoles, like the like the rounding, the bottom all the way up. Like I always used to like just miss it, or I'd like time it incorrectly.
Yeah.
Where the Mortal Kombat ones translated over a little bit like back forward or like up down
Right.
versus like roll half of the or like 3/4 around the circle, which is easy to do with your like joystick knob, but harder to do with like
D-pad.
a
Yep.
4-way D-pad.
Yep.
That also I think made it harder. Like I definitely played Street Fighter, but then I think I just got less enthusiastic about it because it was just like, I can't play any of these players well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing I think is interesting is one of these games, Street Fighters, is a kind of very Japanese from, came from Capcom. Mortal Kombat is kind of like the American, like rival, which was interesting at the time because there weren't a lot of American company like software developers like making games that actually challenged kind of what was coming out of Japan. And really Street Fighter 2 kind of owned the fighting game market for a long time, and Mortal Kombat really was like one of the first franchises to really challenge that, especially in the 2D fighting era. Like once you get into 3D with Tekken and other stuff, it branches out. But this was like a heavyweight competition between these two games, and it's really interesting that these two movies are coming out at the same time too. Because Mortal Kombat 2 was really the Mortal Kombat 2 game, and obviously Street Fighter is the whole franchise is beloved. But to have these two movies going head to head right now definitely feels like something special.
Yeah.
Well, wait, do you want to dive into the trailer?
Yeah, go ahead, Evan. So, Evan, on the trailer for Mortal Kombat 2, what were your first thoughts? What do you think?
My first thoughts were I liked how from the start they leaned into the humor of it. Like the opening scene, I'm a Carl Urban fan from The Boys and the like, and the opening scene where he's at the bar actually reminded me a little bit of, it's that like throwaway scene. I can't remember which movie, but I think it's like X-Men Days Past or something, like where they travel back in time and they like, oh, we're gonna go recruit Wolverine, and they like go into the bar and Wolverine, it's Hugh Jackman and he's drinking and he's just like, fuck off or something, like, and then they just like leave and that's the one off. But it added a lot of humor to that movie, and I felt like this one almost mimicked that. He's at the bar. He's a washed up movie star. Like it sets it up in a way that's not just like, this is a competition to save the world. You have been selected. Boom. And like just jump into it. Like it seems like they actually had a bit of, as Andy said, like a story that they're trying to do. And they've got like a protagonist, which is clearly Johnny Cage here. And I thought that was a smart way to open it because it's setting the stage for like, we're going to make fun of ourselves a little bit. He's putting that, the next one is what, the car, and he's like putting his posters. He's like, I'm just washed up. Nobody wants another movie about this. And when it jumped to at 42 seconds in, showing the first like otherworldly aspect where it's got sort of like a dragon kind of motif on the mountain, my initial thought was like, oh, this is actually almost like they use the same designers as the new Masters of the Universe when they were designing the world, except for it actually works because this is a video game. Like when we were talking about Masters of the Universe, that like, the Castle Grayskull kind of looked a little bit too video gamey, which, maybe that works. But I think because this is based off of a video game IP, that it works really well. I'm gonna stop there I thought we got, there's so many other details to talk about, but I'll start with that and then throw it to one of you guys, and then we can circle back to some of the other stuff. But I thought they started it out really well and they like kept it going.
Andy, what do you think? What were your first like immediate thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think so the previous Mortal Kombat, it's interesting because this one's a sequel where the Street Fighter is kind of a full reboot, but I mean, I think Carl Urban, at first, I mean, I love Carl Urban. I didn't quite see him as Johnny Cage, but I think by the end of the trailer, he really pulls it off. Like, I think this is a really great casting choice. Like, I think he brings kind of gravitas to the full cast as well that they kind of needed for this.
Mm-hmm.
And he does the moves and the lines like in the trailer like perfectly. Like, I think it's a really great casting choice. But yeah, I mean, I was also getting like He-Man vibes too, or Master of the Universe vibes from like the overall kind of art direction of it. But I mean, I think it looks and feels like Mortal Kombat 2. The first Mortal Kombat obviously was like iconic game, but Mortal Kombat 2 is probably the most popular game in the entire series. And this feels like a love letter to Mortal Kombat 2 every step of the way. Like even the costumes, like Raiden's costume is the Mortal Kombat 2 costume. all the different characters they've introduced. I mean, there's ones from other games, and the previous movie had ones from other games, but this seems like a love letter to Mortal Kombat 2, which I think is a great move.
What do you think, Angel?
So I think it's definitely important to note that like of the two trailers that we're discussing today, one is a sequel, and usually we kind of don't do sequels on the podcast, even though unless we've done a first, covered the first one. But
Many people have played Mortal Kombat 2 and never played Mortal Kombat 1.
no, yeah, and like you kind of want like maybe sort of some context for that. Like, okay, well, what did we think about the first one? Well, here, I mean, like I think first off, really what stood out to me immediately, I'm watching this trailer, I'm like, it doesn't feel like a sequel, and I don't say that as a compliment because. I don't say that because like, oh, they're doing an original looking movie. Like if you were to tell me like if this was just titled Mortal Kombat, I would have like, oh, okay, cool, they're rebooting it again, because it just feels like a reboot again to me. Like
is that that's a bad thing?
I mean, I'll get into it, but like it's like what's new other than bringing in Johnny Cage and saying it's more, and having Sonya Blade say it's Mortal Kombat, it's a fighting tournament to the death. Like I think they said that in the last one, and then like, oh, it's a war for the fate of this world. Like again, like, and I know like that's the thing with sequels. It's like, well, it is a sequel. That's what they do. They just rehash what they did before with bigger budget and all that. But honestly, like, if you had put me in a coma and I woke up today, I'm like, and you said, oh, hey, check out the trailer for Mortal Kombat. They rebooted it from the 95. Like, I would believe you. And like, it just looks like they're not doing anything really different. Like, I think with the last reboot that came out like during COVID in 2021, they did something different. And I think some people had some criticisms of it where they like introduced this character who's not part of like the original lore of Mortal Kombat, the main character Cole something, and it was like, well, why they bring them? Why don't they just make it centered around one of them real characters? And like that was sort of like a major, I think, complaint about it I had. But honestly, I'm like, well, that actually kind of worked because they did something different. They made it a little bit, opened up the world a bit, and I don't know, kind of like brought you in as maybe a new watcher to like, you've never heard of Mortal Kombat. I think that sort of like at the end of the day worked for that. But here they're just like, all right, well, let's just bring in Johnny Cage. Everyone knows Johnny Cage from this, and they're just like, I don't think they're really doing anything new and special.
Well, okay, but like, I have a question. Thor Ragnarok, it felt very different than the previous Thor movies, but were they doing anything different or special other than it's just another Thor storyline?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it Thor versus something else, and then Thor has to save the day, and he gets other people?
Well, I mean, if you break down every movie like that, like I mean, yeah, that's like the breakdown of every movie. But I think
I hear what you're saying. It's a weird because I rewatched the first movie the other day.
The newer one, the
reboot,
yeah.
And it's really weird because there's no tournament in that movie. It's basically like a setup for this movie, and it also that movie kind of felt like one of those, oh, we need to make a movie so we can retain the IP situations. Like it just felt like, I mean, there were some interesting things they did differently, like with really playing into the Scorpion Sub-Zero like rivalry and kind of getting into that. But it really it left me wanting. And the new character, the Cole that they introduced, was definitely weird, but I don't know. At the end of the day, it's just a campy video game movie, right? But then this feels like the thing that they should have done to begin with, and it's almost like you didn't even need that first movie, really. Like you could have jumped into all of this. And I know they teased Johnny Cage at the end of the first one, but actually, is Cole even the new character even in this trailer?
I think there's a flash of him like holding some sort of like glowy batons. I'll have to find this. I'll have to find the timestamp. But yeah, like I think that's a perfect way. I think the first one does like set up this, and like this is like, okay, this is Mortal Kombat. This is what this was all about. And I can, after watching the trailer, I can sort of appreciate a little bit more like what they were trying to do with the first one, the first reboot of this. But yeah, like that's what sort of like immediately I thought, I'm like, oh, this is like rebooting it again. And
I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit, just in the sense that like I didn't see the Mortal Kombat that came out during the pandemic reboot one. But watching this trailer, I'm like, I don't feel like I need to have seen a previous movie, which is a positive for me. But very similarly, like a video game, you don't need to have played Mortal Kombat 1 to play Mortal Kombat 2. Like, there's an interesting aspect with video games where subsequent video games in that series, you don't need to have necessarily played any of the other ones to be able to play that game. Like, it's not like you get an added thing other than maybe you know some of the characters' moves ahead of time, which is, I think, a unique aspect of video games. Like, comic books are different. You know, if it's something following the death of Superman and you've got this thing, like, you need to know what happened with Doomsday. Like, it doesn't make sense if you don't. Well, I feel like maybe they're leaning a little bit into that aspect of video games in making the film, where they can just reboot them, just kind of like they come out with a new game.
That's a good perspective on it. Like, yeah, like it does sort of fit like what video games are. Like, hey, here's Call of Duty 7. If you hadn't played the previous 6, you're fine. It's, you know,
and they like learn off of the mistakes of the previous ones.
You may get something out of it. Like, oh, there's that one character. Like, I play Call of Duties, but like, I am not like in tune with like the different storylines and all. I'm like, oh, they're referencing a guy from Call of Duty 3 and what he did. And cool. I just want to shoot and blow things up. So,
well, and I think video games also are like, just like video comics, graphic novels are primed for sort of a dual aspect in the movies, in the sense that people can enjoy the story, but then you can have these Easter eggs thrown in. Like, I loved at 206, you get the Scorpion, like, get over here. You know, like that nostalgia. You know, Scorpion was one of my go-to characters. I think Scorpion and Raiden were like my two favorite characters to play. I think Raiden outdid because I thought Scorpion was kind of like Odd Job and GoldenEye. Like, I thought Scorpion was a little bit of a cheat
because he threw something that was sharp.
Because Scorpion, well, Odd Job is a cheat, and they like even came out and said, like, with GoldenEye, if you crouch in your Odd Job, it's much harder to hit you. Yeah. With Scorpion, you could throw his, I don't know what you call it, his like spear grappling hook thing, but you also could do the thing where he flies out of one side and then flies in on the other with a punch, and so you could do those in tandem, where if somebody blocks it, you could then immediately after fly across the screen and hit them from behind and just keep doing that, and you'd essentially win. Yeah. And they couldn't recover.
And they were very easy moves to do too. It was just like back, forward, back, down, up, down.
Yeah.
Like very basic stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I love the fact that they threw in the get over here. There's like, most of the dialogue is, you know, not anything amazing, but I feel like they had the get over here that they threw in, and then at 140 in, the like, for the next level, the on-screen text, I thought was a nice nod, because it's like, we're talking about a video game. So like, next level is double meaning.
Yeah, there's actually great, I mean, I think some of those lines, that's really hard to pull off, because even in the first movie, they tried to do that. And, you know, unless the context of, you know, the scene is really like there and your actors are really doing a good job, those are really hard to pull off. There's a second trailer for Mortal Kombat. I don't know if that's okay to talk about the official trailer that we're talking about.
Yeah, we can talk. I've not, I haven't seen it. So
there's a really funny moment where I think the trailer kind of pivots and you get this kind of like, oh, they're doing the James Gunn thing, but I think it works because Shao Kahn, who's the big bad, says very seriously, like, finish him to Johnny Cage, and Johnny Cage is like, well, who, me? Like, what are you talking about? And this is really like comical moment where Carl Urban totally like pulls it off, and it's kind of like making fun of the video game line, but also making it work. And it seems like the people making this movie have figured out what they need to do with that stuff.
And I thought they did the same thing with the sound design. Like, it's almost, it's like a not full on gaming kind of music, but it's close enough, and then it builds really well in the trailer, that I was like 3/4 of the way through the trailer when I was like, oh, I didn't really pay attention to the music because it's working really subtly in the background, but it works. Like, they're doing a good job of it. And it does, like, I'm getting amped up for it when they, you know, as it gets to the end of the trailer.
Yeah.
We haven't touched on this because we're like, this is the sequel of the reboot, but were you guys fans of the 1995 original Mortal Kombat?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I saw it. I rented it from Blockbuster for a birthday, like sleepover. But it was not a good movie. It was not a good movie.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but like that was like I remember that was like the movie to see in '95. I was really psyched about it. I was 13 when it came out, but you know I think like the biggest disappointment of it was like, oh, it's PG-13. How are they gonna do all the violence and the gore and that? I think there was...
you had to enter the cheat code when you were watching it.
that would be awesome. So yeah, I enjoyed it as a kid, and it wasn't perfect. However, I never saw the sequel to that, Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
One of the worst movies of all time. Like if you're like a movie guy, you got to see this because it's like the worst movie ever made.
I think I might have, and it was not good.
That came out in '97. I was like in my teens. I would watch anything. I would watch whatever, rent whatever, and like that. Just like I was like, oh god, this looks horrible. I am not spending time on it.
It was the first movie I ever walked out of the theater.
Wow.
Yeah. So the '95 movie, I loved it. Like I may have been like a year or two younger than you guys, and I don't know, it just hit me like so hard. I loved it, and for a long time I think people considered it like one of the best video game movies. I mean, obviously the bar was not high.
Yeah.
But,
sure. Yeah.
But yeah, Annihilation I saw in the theaters, and that was the first movie I ever walked out of.
Evan, if you have to watch that trailer. Watch the trailer after this.
I think I might have seen the second one. Which is the one where there's like a scene with Scorpion, I think, and they're in like a forest.
That's the first one.
That's the first one. Okay.
So watch the trailer for the second one.
Yeah.
There are some horrible graphics, and again, it's '97, but still, it's beyond that. A movie studio put whatever money into this and put it in theaters. Like it is like sci-fi.
I mean,
movie channel
have you
quality.
seen almost every Fantastic Four reboot? Like, I'm amazed those got put into theaters too. Like,
no, like, dude, watch the trailer. Watch the trailer after this. It's bananas. But anyway, so like that reminded me. So like here, I mean, going back to this, like, okay, Carl Urban, yeah, he looks great. He's definitely, he's got chops. He knows how to get into character and all that. And I think
he also is playing himself. Like he plays the same character in everything he's in, and it fits. It fits for this. Like
he works. And like the guy who plays Kano, Josh Lawson, I think he brings some character and flavor to the characters they're playing. But everyone else is just like. I'm sorry, like straight to video quality to me, and like that just like it just takes me out.
I mean, it's hard with the sell. Hey, do you want to be in the sequel to the reboot again of Mortal Kombat? Like the fact that they have Carl Urban in this, like, blew my mind.
Yeah. Well, I get it, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just pointing out this stuff is just like some of it's just like hard to watch.
Yeah. But they got the timing. I mean, the comedic lines in this way better than the Masters of the Universe attempts at comedic lines. Yeah. Like these ones landed.
And there's a couple other things too, like the Shao Kahn, like at 2 minutes and 19 seconds, there's like this close up medium shot of him like saying finish him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me, it just stood out really bad for a couple of reasons. One, they made the mask like full. And like it's like a full mask as opposed to where like I think like his like normal design it's more of a 3/4 and like you see his chin and jawline. This is it covers his whole face, so you don't see anything move of his mouth, and it's static. And so when he says the line, it's just like the mask. And
is this a Bane? This is a Bane criticism, right? Christopher Nolan, Batman.
Not
Bane
really.
criticism?
No, it's more. No, I'll get into what it gives me this vibe of Roger Corman, Fantastic Four. Like it just looks shoddily made, and and then coupled with the voice, like re-listen to that part. It sounds like they just used the audio they recorded on set, and like most movies, 90% of the audio they record is dubbed over because of like, audio issues, sound. Like it just felt flat. And I was like, I felt like it should have like a boom to it, like finish him. It's just like finish him.
You should go watch the second trailer because that's the scene I was talking about. So in the second trailer, they follow it up with Johnny Cage making like this quip remark, and it kind of makes fun of what
makes it work.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
I regress that. I don't know.
I have a question because I don't know if I've like I think Mortal Kombat 2 was the last game like Sega, like Mortal Kombat I played. A minute and 40 seconds in, there are these like floating colorful smoke objects, like I think they're green and red. Um and I just assumed they were like signifying that they're and then for the next level is right there. I guess it's blue to red. These like triangle shaped or
Hmm.
diamond shaped things. I assumed they were like signifying that they were like climbing the ladder that you kind of did in Mortal Kombat to get to the end. But maybe I'm missing something. Like, I don't know, is that in the video game, or like what do you guys think that
What was
is?
the timestamp on that?
It's a minute and 40 seconds in. There's like uh this
They look like
little
almost like stones before they like sort of like burst into colorful
yeah.
flames.
It's yeah, there's 3, 4, 5. There's 10 of them. It's like not all lit up.
Yeah,
But it
Shao
looks almost like
Kahn is looking at him. I don't know.
well, no,
I
but it's
don't.
not
I
it's
don't.
not
It,
actually
I,
him. It's like a outline of him because it's not actually a person there. It's like
I
a
think that
statue.
I think that's
oh, that's
definitely
a.
like a scoreboard for which side has won a match. And
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do think that is in the games, but I don't know
Probably
exactly
the later
where that would have been.
games.
Okay, yeah, that was the one thing that I was just like, huh, like it's kind of cool. Um, and I was just curious how they were like kind of keeping it going. And I also think just pacing wise, they did a good job with it starts off a little bit slower with the setup with Johnny Cage, and then once it gets going, they like move into a lot faster pace and clips, which is very
Yeah.
actiony without telling you too much. Like it seems like they've got enough characters that they can kill off no name people. Like for a second I thought like, oh, did Scorpion just pull the soul of Sub-Zero out of himself and then like slice it in half? Oh wait, no, that's somebody else. That's not Sub-Zero because they've got like
It looks
two
like.
scythes with them.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
but
Well,
are
can we just
yeah.
can we touch on that like that fatality there, like going back to like the graphics and the visual, like that. I can't believe they put that in the trailer. It just that just takes me out. Like that slice, and you see the guts to the inside. It's just so digitized. I mean, I feel like Mortal Kombat 2 fatalities look better than that.
Okay, but it's but here's the so I 100% agree, and I was thinking that same thing. The only thing in my head was he pulled out his soul. So this is like cutting his soul in half, right? Because he like pulls out something.
Yeah,
So like,
but
what do we know what souls have?
what's
They've got blood
but what's
apparently. Like,
I don't know. I'm sorry. Like you're showing like the insides of it. There's like obviously colored texture of his flesh. It just oh my god, that looks like something from 2001 Jason X, like dismemberment. Like it's so bad. Like
okay,
come on.
I don't know. I see this is where I think their balance of the video game stuff comes in. Like to me, I was like, oh, they're doing a lot a nod to the blood code from Mortal Kombat, where it's like I mean, because if you see because you see the like, but you see like when he goes up, like the blood splatter is so much blood. Where did that blood come from? Like he's got a samurai sword and he's just going upwards. Like the samurai sword's not carrying any blood because it's a samurai sword. And like you just sliced him in half really quickly. There's no like jugular that's spurting out. It's just like blood splurt that I feel like they did that on purpose. But I agree, like the graphics was a little silly. But
Yeah.
then again, look at these characters.
Well, so I think that is also a big character reveal of this character Noob Saibot, who is the second incarnation of the original Sub-Zero who died in the first movie, and his name is famously derived from it's a reverse of the two people who made the game. So I think a lot of people are really excited to see that character. I am surprised they killed him in the or they showed the killing of him in the trailer. That seems crazy, but
Is there a chance that somehow they integrate into this where like they can come back and they've got X number of lives somehow, and maybe then they can show somebody dying and
yeah,
bring
no,
him back?
so there is a scene in the first movie where several characters kind of become these like shrouds of smoke. Like Shang Tsung uses his powers somehow to like reclaim them, and those characters appear in this trailer too. So, like Kano dies in the first movie, but he's here. There's a scene where he like is resurrected. It looks like, and then there's some other characters too. So
Well, and I also think it's really interesting. Like we talked about, Mortal Kombat 2 and Street Fighter coming out at the same time is an interesting coincidence, but it makes me think of back in like the early 2000s, Without Limits and Prefontaine came out at the same time, and they were both about Steve Prefontaine, an American distance runner. Like, what are the chances? And it turned out there were essentially two producers who disagreed on the way the story should go, so they split off and they both made their movie. That I found it interesting. This trailer, we've got Sonya and Raiden, collecting people to go fight. And then, as we'll discuss in Street Fighter, we pretty much have Chun-Li going around finding the fighters to fight. Like, it's like very similar story.
Yeah.
That I thought was kind of interesting.
With that, I guess let's head into Street Fighter.
All right. So Street Fighter, this is coming out, the 2026 version, directed by Kateo Sakurai, I believe. I hope I'm not butchering that too much. Starring Noah Centineo, Mel Jarnson, Cody Rhodes, 50 Cent, Jason Momoa, a slew of others. And its release date is 10/16/2026.
Okay, so different movie, different trailer, and this movie also as well was originally made in the mid 90s. Different take on that version of Street Fighter. Similarly, I feel like I think that was like where they tried to do something different. The Jean-Claude Van Damme adaptation is like, oh, let's do something different. We're not gonna, and that actually came out before Mortal Kombat. Now I'm thinking about it, like 94 Street Fighter was the first movie, fighting game movie adaptation. Then 95 was Mortal Kombat. So credit to them to try to do something different. I don't think it worked. They tried to make this like global NATO, I don't know.
Well, I think that's a good example of what I was saying earlier, where you have like corporate suits making a game for kids, and they had no idea what they were doing at all. Yeah. And it was like they tried to make this like espionage thriller fighting underworld thing, and it was complete garbage. I mentioned Annihilation was the first movie I walked out of, but this was the first time as a kid I went to a movie and was like disappointed, where I was like, I want my money back. Like, I am so upset right now. It is bad.
Yeah, and I think that fueled my sort of like more love for Mortal Kombat, the video game, because that movie, I was like, I don't want to play Street Fighter. This is stupid. I love Jean-Claude Van Damme, but like, why the hell is he playing an American soldier in this story?
Yeah.
Not even trying to like get rid of the accents.
He's a Belgian soldier who has fled the army and is in New York fighting underground because he's got such a lion heart.
That would be way better.
Also, the Bloodsport, he technically is an American.
Is he?
Isn't he?
But I can't remember. But I love that movie. All right, so for this movie, this trailer. So this trailer, I forget when they announced this movie, but it was like, okay, they announced like, okay, great, another video game adaptation. Let's whatever. So not something I was like sort of like, oh, I'm excited to see what they do. Whatever, I'll see the trailer. I'll make my judgment there. But this trailer is a little bit disjointed. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. And it's sort of like construction. It kind of like starts and restarts a bit. Like the first full minute is like just all action beats, MTV style editing, fast paced, teasing a lot of like the Street Fighter characters. Mm-hmm. And then it's like focusing on like Ken, and you're sort of like led to like, okay, this is gonna be like the story about Ken. And then it just diverts really quickly, abruptly to Ryu in that like first 50 seconds or so. And then
is it pronounced like Ryu or is it Ryu? I always pronounced it Ryu. Did I pronounce
Ryu?
Ryu? Okay,
it's definitely Ryu, but I was gonna say something earlier in that I feel like when you're a kid, there's no one to correct you. So you have these. Yeah, like, I called it Ryu my whole life.
Me too. Yeah. I only said Ryu because I've heard
they said it in the movie, right? Like, I think they say it in the movie, but I was like, oh man, like again, yeah, exactly what you said, Andy. Like nobody corrects you.
Right.
But I think in the 94 movie, don't they say Ryu?
Maybe. But I mean, I feel like that was, again, they just didn't know. Like,
yes, exactly. So like that first full minute, you're like, okay, cool, you're diving in. But then it like sort of restarts and the pace changes. Like,
well, music changes
slow. Too. Yeah, no. And it's a whole completely changes. Like we're just restarting and it's like, oh, this is weird. It's like it almost feels like they had two different editors do two different takes on the trailer, and then they're like, all right, let's take this part and just mash them together. Like it diverts, and like you said, the music changes. It's like that song "What's Up" by Four Non Blondes, and I think that drives the rest of the trailer. And it's a cinematic remix of the trailer, which is a very popular thing that they do lately with taking like an 80s, early 90s song, and just kind of like getting someone to remix it and making like this like trailerized version of it. Um, with that, I think the trailer is super fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
You think?
It's colorful. The action and fighting are like, I feel like have like a nice balance of like this like cartoony and real, if that like sort of makes sense. And yeah, I think on quick glance the casting looks great. There's a nice mix of like familiar faces, 50 Cent, Cody Rhodes, people maybe not have like seen them in movies, and maybe they're not like really good actors, but like like, oh, I know that person. They like, or but then like people I've never heard of or seen before. Everyone seems to fit into the parts, unlike the 1994 movie where, again, you have a Belgium actor, action star playing an American soldier. So yeah, that's my sort of like first thoughts there. Andy, what you think?
Yeah, no, I think similar in that, yeah, the smart person in me, or the person that I think is like, you know, intelligent in terms of like how they make these things. I'm like, yeah, okay, you're tricking me with the Four Non Blondes song again and all this stuff. And but yeah, we've seen this a million times. But at the same time, I'm like, oh my god, this movie looks so freaking fun. Like I am so pumped for this movie because of this trailer. I don't know. I think there's just so much they're trying to cram in that's why it feels like disjointed. Like I think this franchise, even more than Mortal Kombat, has a lot of like fan service it's gonna have to deliver on. And I think the shadow of that horrible 90s version of this is like looming over this. Like this is the first time. I mean, there was a weird Chun-Li movie like a few years back that was also very bad, but like this
Yes.
is their chance to redeem it on the big screen. And I think they have a they know that it's a big undertaking.
Evan, what you think?
I enjoyed it. I think fun is probably the best word to describe this. Like, as you said, that it's hyper like color saturation at times. The costume design is like very out there. I mean, as soon as Guile steps up with like whatever mohawk flat top thing he's wearing, and it's so absurd. Like, it's not like, oh, it's big. It's like they tried to match kind of the video game, and it just looks so stupid, but like in a funny way. I just what is going on here, you know?
It's like and I think we kind of talked about this a little bit similar to Masters of the Universe. It's like you look at this, it's like, oh, is this a fan film? It has that sort of like quality of it in the terms of like, oh, you think it's a fan film, but it's like a fan film on steroids.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think and to me, I didn't see it as disjointed. I saw it as like ratcheting up in different ways, and they were kind of playing different things off of each other. Like, I really loved in 38 seconds in the Easter egg of Ken beating up the car, which in the arcade game was like an extra bonus round you got, where it's like, how much damage could you do, and you got extra points. And I was like, oh my god, like I love that they just threw that in, because it's like, oh, you're a stupid joke. Look, you beat up cars. And you're like, and you know, and it played well to that like MTV loser kind of thing, which I feel like also was a nice integration into the story of like using the times and the way we sort of see old reality TV players as sort of washed up, and playing into that I thought was really good. And but then at the same time, when they introduced, and I'm gonna mess up his name, but like Zangief, like Zangief, like he looked a little too CGI to me.
That's all real. He's all real. 100% natural.
Uh-huh. And that was like, you know, that's what, like, it's just after a minute, but it's and that was one of the switches. But I like that they leaned into this, I don't know, again, not stupidity, I don't know the right word, but like at a minute in, sorry, not minute, 50 seconds in, I think it's like Ryu and Ken maybe fighting each other, and they form a human wheel, and like they're rolling, and you're like, what am I watching? Like, this is so stupid. Like, this doesn't exist. Like, this is like on par with like Hook, where the
yeah, but
kid
like
puts himself into a ball and makes himself into a bowling ball.
Of course it doesn't exist. It's fantasy. I mean, there's no guy in the real world where his arm stretches out, because just because he does yoga doesn't mean he can really do that.
No. But I think it works because they're like, you know, the head slam into the wall and it's bashing, but they also had that humor of like when Ken and Ryu have their reunion, whatever, in the trailer, and like they're like, hey, what's up? And then Ken attacks him, and Ryu's just like stepping out of the way and just like, oh, you know, kind of fun and playful.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, especially for Street Fighter, especially given what's been done in the past, it's threading the needle of like, how much do you make fun of and how much is it serious? Because it seems like they're also playing, a lot of these characters are like washed up losers who this is their last redemption, which is an interesting change from at least like the story I felt from the arcade game, which was just like, these are the champions and they're all going to kick each other's butts.
Yeah.
But it's not much of a storyline, right?
Yeah.
Like it makes me think of Alan Moore's critique on comic books, where he's like, just being good and fighting evil is not an actual story. That's just like an idea. You need the story. And I feel like they're sort of doing that. You have, you know, the Zangief, however you pronounce his name, like he's pulling a tractor, like the way that people are treated, and then the sort of recruiting of them I thought was cool. And I also really liked, well, a number of things, but at the end when like there's the back and forth with like Chun-Li, like she starts off just recruiting, but then you get the like, oh, I hear about your thighs, they're not very impressive. And then you know, like you see her doing her upside down spin kick, like the, you know, in the game, and then she kind of like is kicking everybody's ass, and then just like that played really well. And as a go-to Blanca player, the like quick button of Blanca appearing near the end, and then the very end tag of like perfect throwback. Also, I thought was just really nice of like, I think what we've been talking about, when you have a director or people making these movies that actually know and love the IP, they know how to thread the line. It's like with it, I'm gonna go there. It's like poetry in the sense that like a good poet isn't somebody who throws away all convention when it comes to grammar. It's somebody who understands grammar really well, so they know how to play around with it for effect. Like E.E. Cummings, on the page, he played around with the way words were shaped and sized and in next to each other because he understood that had an impact. And I feel like that's sort of that evolution in, you know, the gaming IP, or as you know, I think mentioned James Gunn and Taiki Waititi, like they're fans of the genre, so they understand how to when to make fun of it and when to lean into the serious sides, and sometimes it works really well. And I think this one, because it's Street Fighter and they're so absurd, they made the smart choice of like, we're gonna lean into the absurdity at some point. And like, and what, like, isn't there was that line with Guile, and he's like, did that guy just like shoot a fireball from his hand or like something absurd? And you're like, yes, because like that's what we're all thinking. Like, what the heck is going on? You know?
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of problems with the '90s version of this movie, but I think that era was about trying to like, how do you take the IP and make it like serious and believable in the real world? And I think if it wasn't for, well, and I even remember when the very first Avengers movie was announced, I'm a huge comic book fan, and I was like, they can never pull this off. There's no way you can put those 5 characters in this on screen together and it's gonna look good. There's no way. And then that movie came along and was like, holy shit, they did it. And, you know, now enough time has passed and you have like James Gunn and Taika Waititi creating these like really great moments in these movies. And now you can have Guile with a crazy flat top, and you can have these like crazy moves happening in fireballs and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. I think it's a great moment to be experiencing some of these things.
I don't necessarily think they're making fun of the game or the characters. Like there's jokes, but I kind of disagree that they're making fun of the world and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think they're making.
No, Evan kept saying like they're making fun of it,
like
but
leaning
like
into the humor of, I don't know how to. Oh, I guess maybe that's not the right terminology. Yeah, I don't know. What would you call it? I guess.
I mean, I think I think there's a campy tone to it, but I don't necessarily think they're making fun of like the stuff. I think they're having fun, and they're
when to make it campy versus not. Like there's that moment. What is it? 229 into the trailer where you get Ken doing his, I can't remember what they're called, like power move, where it's like just like super uppercut, and it's like super high like the video game, but like not at all grounded in the reality of physics, which I think, it's like, I don't know what you call that.
Yeah, but I don't think. I think it's they're doing a proper maybe a better setting the tone of the world that relates to that comes from the video games, like as opposed to what we talked about in Masters Universe. Like it seems like they didn't really like set a proper. They're not creating this world balance well. It's just like sort of like, hey, let's just yeah, they're doing a nice faithful adaptation of like, hey, that looks like Castle Grayskull, that looks like Man at Arms, but you know, does it all stick and is it all cohesive? What we kind of sort of like concluded like, yeah, not so much. This I feel like, and maybe I'm more removed from Street Fighter. Like I'm, you know, I wasn't a big fan of the game. I played it, I was super casual, but like I had preferred Mortal Kombat, so like I have no like sort of attachment to this. So I'm like all in on what I'm seeing. It looks fun. Like, hey, give me the biggest flat top mohawk on Guile. Yes, okay. Like, give me those moves. Hadouken, you know, like give me all that fireballs and stuff. I think everything's kind of gelling in here, and like this again, like I said it before, like they're not taking themselves too seriously. Whereas like Mortal Kombat, I feel like they're really trying to do like Hamlet of like or Macbeth of like video games. It's like I feel like it's a little too serious, and maybe I need to see that second trailer where maybe they're leaning into more, you know, not taking some. But I feel like they're trying to. Mortal Kombat. I feel like it's just overall kind of trying to be too serious. Like it's the fate of the world. Like I don't know.
I feel like okay, but I feel like instead of Shakespeare, it's more Chekhov, because Chekhov has some humor built in. It's like more the bear than Hamlet. It was interesting, similar to the Mortal Kombat 2 with Scorpion doing a fatality or killing one of the main characters, or I guess enemies. It was interesting that they did show certain characters potentially defeating other ones, right? Like the Ken uppercut. Is oh man, I wish I had all the names.
Yeah, he's like a dragon. I think it's the dragon punch or something like that. There might be a Japanese term for it. I can't remember.
But that was against what Dulcim, right? And then you also had E Honda a little bit in there that maybe getting beat up. Like it was interesting that they were showing some of the wins in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think almost every one of these scenes is actually like an Easter egg, and it can be dissected as such. Like the E Honda scene, like so, Street Fighter has to pull off three things. It has to show you all the iconic moves, and it has to have them in the setting. Because Street Fighter was the first like real fighting game where the stage that you're fighting in really had like a meaning to it, and there were people behind you watching and all of that. And I think a lot of these scenes are gonna have to pull that off too to really give the fans like kind of what they're looking for. And then they have to somehow take all that and make it into like a story, which is crazy. But I think the fighting scenes they can more easily pull that off. Like the E Honda one, he's wearing like a towel, so he's probably in like a sauna, which is where E Honda's stage was set before. And so I think kind of trying to really hone in on where each of these fight scenes happen is also a part of it.
The one, I don't know, I don't want to say reservation I sort of have is like these arcade games were built, especially Street Fighter, in an era of not necessarily the most respectful costumes for women.
Oh yeah.
That like this one leans into that. I feel a little uncomfortable with like the objectification of the way, like nobody, you know, I think of the Incredibles sort of side scene with the costume designer for their, you know, it's like, oh, never have a cape because the cape gets pulled into here and then it's stupid. Like you don't have this and don't ever do this. That like nobody's wearing like an outfit that's got a huge thong in there for fighting. Like that's not comfortable. Yeah. Like sure, well, a full spandex suit, but like, you know.
Are you talking about Cammy and like her like?
Yeah.
Yes.
Her like ass cheeks are hanging out. Like, isn't that's very? I mean, it's very gymnastics like. Well, I mean, there's probably more
gymnastics. The gymnastics covers a bit more. Like,
yeah, but okay.
And you're also not fighting while doing gymnastics. I don't know. Yeah, I think like
I was shocked when I saw that scene. That is her more conservative costume. There is a different costume that she wears that is more provocative. But then having that scene also being the one where she delivers the line about Chun-Li's thighs, like I mean. Yeah, that's a risky move. Like I was really shocked when I saw that in the trailer for sure.
Yeah.
I'm actually, I mean, I don't know. Cammy, was she in Street Fighter like the OG game, or
No,
was she like a later?
she's a later edition, I believe.
Yeah, so I was gonna say this earlier with the Mortal Kombat. So Street Fighter has there's like way more Street Fighter games than Mortal Kombat games. There's like 11 or 12 Mortal Kombat games, but Street Fighter, there were like 6 versions of Street Fighter 2. And like so she was in Street Fighter 2 Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which introduced like 4 new characters to the cast, which was
Mhm.
really the first kind of branching out of new characters, and then it there were more and more and more and more after that. But she's probably one of the most like she's a big fan favorite for sure.
I know in the 1994 movie, she is on the good guy side, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Street Fighter lore in this trailer too. I'm not a Street Fighter like expert, but she would
Hmm.
like so M Bison had these like genetically altered like bodyguard fighting unit called the Dolls, and she was like one of them. So her costume was supposed to mimic M Bison's in some way, but she was able to break free and started working for like MI6 or like I don't know, some other faction. But then there's also characters that still are a part of M Bison's like Dolls. And there's I think one of them is in the trailer, Julie. She has like a black or a darker version of the same costume. So I mean, there's like fans who are definitely here for all of that stuff. So
Because I don't know like what the relationship if like Chun Li and Cammy are like against each other, or she's part of the recruitment, or but like I'm hoping there's like they have a little brawl, and I feel like it could be very feisty. Even if they're like, it could be very much like Avengers, like where like, there's like at least 2 or 3 battles where all the superheroes, they're all good, but they're just fighting each other, and like there were some great sequences there, and like I kind of want to see a Cammy on Chun Li fight in this movie.
I feel like there could probably be that. I feel like this movie you might see Cammy turn from the bad guy side to the good guy side in this movie.
Okay, all right.
In the way it looks like they're setting it up.
One thing, and I know Evan, you hate this, and I'm curious what you think. Like, this is a long trailer. It's like over 2 minutes and 30 seconds, not including. I mean, it's probably even closer to like 2:40 because it has a stupid YouTube pre-bumper. It's like, oh, the trailer's about to start, blah blah blah. But the trailer's like long. It's like over 2:30. And I know you don't like long trailers, but like, I don't think it gives a lot away in the sense of like
Yeah.
the
No, no, no.
overall I think it does a good job of hiding that, and I kind of don't want to see anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say, even though it was long, I actually didn't have a problem with this. And I think it's kind of what Andy was saying. They're trying to introduce so much that they have so many things to introduce that you don't actually get to see tons of many of the side things. You get, I think the Dolls reference one, I think it's at 2:01, you get to see that female character, but it's like a half a second shot. And you're like, okay, there's a person. And then you move on. But so you get the sense of the bigger world, which I think then lends them to being able to do these longer trailers without, I think that, the issue I have is when it's like a 2-minute or 3-minute trailer or 2-minute and 45-second trailer, and the last 30 seconds is like a reveal scene that then kind of ruins part of the movie for you.
Yeah, it just shows you the third act of the movie. You're like, well, okay, that's gonna happen, and then you could just fill in the gaps.
I mean, you definitely get that, like, Ken is no longer the washed up person and comes into his own because you've got that shot near the end. But it also references that they were at this is the what is it, the World Warrior Championship Tournament 2. So it's not the first one. So they're going back to it. Ironically, it's the second one, but it's Street Fighter regular. So I think there's also the possibility that they could play around with a timeline, and that Ken, move is a throwback to when he wasn't washed up, kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, I think I didn't feel like that it went on too long and they were showing too much in this one, even though it was long. Last thoughts, I guess.
You didn't really go over like the filmmakers of it. I'm not sure exactly, but I know they're somewhat whoever is directing it, I think worked on the Eric Andre show, or there's a lot of like Eric Andre like tie-ins here, and I think Eric Andre is one of the characters in the
I think he's like the ring
announcer.
host or the ring master or what, I don't know what that title is. And I actually forgot to like look up to see what the director of this movie did before.
He's directed a couple of episodes of Beef. He directed 4 episodes of Twisted Metal.
Has he done a movie? Is this his
Let me
first feature?
see. Let me
That's always
see.
interesting to like kind of like
Yeah.
check.
I think, yeah, Eric Andre show. I'm trying to see. It might be Bad Trip. He directed that movie. I don't know, from 2021.
Okay, I know. That's sort of like a hidden camera kind of.
Mm.
I mean, it's scripted, half scripted kind of thing. I never saw it, but I know the movie. It's sort of like in the Jackass kind of vein, but more of like a story, real pranks and things like that. But anyways. Oh wow, so like this is, I mean, this is like a big budget action movie, so like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I know like 50 Cent. 50 Cent's been obsessed with the Balrog character forever, and I don't know how long people have been trying to make a Capcom reboot, but he's always been like attached to this project forever. And I think he kind of looks I mean, I think he looks great. I'm glad they have him, but he also looks kind of old compared to everyone else.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
that would be
he's older. Yeah.
that would be my one sort of like casting complaint. I feel like he does stick out, and his wig or whatever that is, it just feels
Yeah, but here's the thing.
not
He's
not
a
great.
name, and he's a pretty big time producer these days. That like, I'm sure this film got greenlit because he was attached to it,
Yeah.
partially.
He's always wanted to be in this movie as that character. So, but yeah, like Orville Peck as Vega, I think is an interesting choice. I mean, there's a lot of wrestlers in this too, so I don't know. I think it feels
Cody
like a really
Rhodes.
good. Yeah, Cody Rhodes. And then Jason Momoa, I think, is Blanca. So
Yeah, he's just like in everything. He's gonna be in Lobo. He's just like sign me up.
Perfect. But he's perfect for Lobo. He is
Yeah,
Lobo.
Lobo
Like he
is
looks exactly like
amazing
Lobo.
casting
That's a
for Lobo, for
perfect
sure.
casting.
Okay, cool. So now let's do our ratings. Andy, as our guest, we'll have you go first. Mortal Kombat. Okay, so our ratings are you there? Yes, in theaters. Will you stream it, skip it, or Evan's favorite, I'll watch it while I'm working out.
So so the 4 in theaters, I'll stream it. Well, if nothing else on, I'll watch it while working out, or hard pass.
For Mortal Kombat 2, if I have time to see it, I will probably see it in the theaters. I'm definitely not there like opening weekend or whatever. Like, but there's enough there to get me to see it in the theaters, I think.
All right, Evan.
Okay, so we're talking Mortal Kombat. I'd definitely stream this just for the fun of it. I would not do it just as a workout. I probably would like throw it up on my projector, surround sound, a big thing of popcorn, and with like butter on it. Just throw the butter on. I feel like that's appropriate for this film. I normally don't, but I'd like put extra butter on it.
You're going all out. Okay.
And then like probably watch this by myself because this is not my wife's. Like she's a Witcher fan. Like she likes video games, movies, but like I think this is a little bit too stupid for her.
Yeah, there's no naked beefy men in Mortal Kombat. So
I mean, there are a lot of naked beefy men in both of these. They're just not fully naked.
I've never watched Witcher, but I've heard that there's like lots of nudity in Witcher.
There's some, but like again, Henry Cavill left that show because they were going too far away from the books / video game. Yeah. And they were leaning into the romance, and the romance is, I would argue, the weaker side of that show. The story is much better, and they've like, yeah. Anyway, that's a long tangent, but yeah, I definitely stream it. I'd stream it. This is not like, I don't need to go to the theaters to watch this. This is not like a new Avatar movie. This is not a big action movie. This is like, no offense, it's a video game movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is my wife's not going to want to see this with me. I don't know who I'm going to take this movie with me. Like, I'm going to see it on the couch after she goes to sleep.
Like, maybe all 3 of us will like text each other, and then we'll synchronize watch it together at home. Except for after you've seen it in theaters, but what's yours?
I'd stream it. I just don't, and I'm not like, I don't think I'll rush to stream it. I just like I pointed, it just looks like sci-fi movie channel bad. Like it's just like the first one, I streamed the first one only because it was COVID. It did go to theaters limitedly, but it released in theaters and HBO Max like same day, like when they were doing that during COVID. So I streamed it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch this. I have my subscription already to HBO Max. I'm gonna watch it. Was mostly disappointed, but like I thought the action and the fighting and the violence was really cool. But like this is not gonna like put me over the edge. So like, all right, I'll see this in theaters now. Not like, I can easily, but I'd stream it. Yeah, it just doesn't look all that great to me. And you know, I think I'd have more fun if the three of us get on and just play Mortal Kombat online with each
Yes.
other than like, and I
Right.
just kick everyone's ass. Uh,
Oh, those
uh,
are some fighting words.
um, but yeah, that's my rating for that one.
I mean, that is a good measure for these games is would you rather play the video game or would you rather watch the movie? Because I don't know. Why would I just play the video game?
Yeah.
Street
All right,
Fighter.
Street Fighter. Andy, what's your rating?
Well, so I'm more pumped about this than the Mortal Kombat movie. So if I'm going to see Mortal Kombat in theaters, I definitely have to go see Street Fighter in theaters. I don't. I would. This is the type of movie like there's not too many movies that come out in a year where I'm like it feels like an event for me. And this, I don't know. This could be one of those for me. I might go see it opening night actually.
Ooh,
Nice.
Yeah, Street Fighter. I'm gonna see it in the theaters.
interesting.
Evan.
Oh, I'm up next. I would stream this as well. If there was any chance I could have an entire day to myself, and I've got 2 kids, so that's not happening. I would like back to back watch these movies. I would watch both of them just because I think it'd be fun to see the comparison and they fit in the same genre and just have like a super or like a Saturday one day and then a Sunday the other one. I think yeah, I think these would be fun movies, but similar to you, Angel, like I probably am not rushing to see them. I think they'll be as fun later, and I don't think there's going to be spoilers. That's like, oh no,
Yeah.
the people we wanted to win are gonna win. Like I don't think these are going to be complex
Yeah.
storylines, and like that'd be amazing if it had a twist, but I don't foresee that.
Yeah. I'm there. I'm theaters, opening weekend, opening night. I think it looks fun.
So both you much bigger fans of the Street Fighter over Mortal Kombat. It's interesting.
I think the trailer is super fun. Even though it's like sort of like disjointed, it just works. That song. I'm just gonna boot it up and What's Up Blonde. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Four
that's
Non
my
Blondes are
that's
just
my
like.
go-to karaoke song. So I'm already like relating the track.
And I love how they like integrate that. Like I didn't touch on it, but like they, you know, that's he's clearly singing that song in the karaoke, and
Mhm.
I like how they like integrate it in context and out of context in the trailer itself. So yeah, I think the trailer looks super fun. I don't need to see anymore. I'm there opening night. I'm gonna buy the popcorn Blanca bucket and
What are the
the
chances? What are the
Chun
chances?
Li and the Chun Li drinking cup.
Yeah, soda. Are you now? What are the chances that you'll be Guile for Halloween and you could convince the rest of your family to be Street Fighter individuals?
I mean, if this movie's super amazing and works, yeah. I mean, and assuming this is PG-13, I might take Vinny.
Okay.
He's not into like the blood stuff, which I'm like, are you my kid?
I mean, he's still quite young. Like, and he doesn't play the video games that have that. Like, the reason I'm not into blood, the only reason I think the Mortal Kombat ones are fun is because I played Mortal Kombat, the video game, and it had that. But like, I don't like blood.
Yeah. No, he always asks me when I'm like watching trailers or stuff. He's like, "Is that rated R? Is that rated R?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is R." He's like, "Oh." He's like super aware of like what movies are rated. He's like, if it's rated R, it's like he thinks it's gonna be scary. And if the movie has like a drop of blood, he's like, "No, I don't want to watch that." But I feel like this, it should be PG-13.
I mean, Street
I
Fighter,
can't see
I don't
him-
think
I
is
can't
gonna
see it
have
being rated
any
R.
blood. I think they're gonna like you're gonna get hit really hard. It'll be the opposite of Mortal Kombat, where like
Yeah.
they get hit where they should have some blood, and it'll be like
Yeah.
maybe like a teeny bit on the nose, so they wipe
Yeah.
off or something.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm there. Curious. So which movie do you think will do better? And we'll let's track these like sort of like our sort of like predictions, box office, and then sort of Rotten Tomatoes rating. Like,
Can I say?
who
Can
do
I
you
say
think is gonna have a
neither?
better box office?
I think neither is
Well-
gonna be good. Like I think they'll
No, no,
play,
well, let's
they'll
use
like have a
something
good
that's-
first weekend
Well-
for young
Well, no,
kids, and then it's gonna
use
bomb.
something that we can quantify. We can quantify box office. Which movie will do better at the box office? What do you think?
I think Mortal Kombat's gonna do better at the box office.
Really? Okay. Evan says, "What do you think, Andy?"
I mean, I feel like I don't know. I feel like Street Fighter is probably gonna do better. I mean, I don't know. May 8th is right around the corner. It feels like an early summer type like lead into summer type feel, but also like I don't know, is that even how things are anymore? I don't know. I mean, if I was a kid like back in the day, I would have been like so pumped to like this is the beginning of summer coming on. I'm ready to go to see a bunch of movies. But I think Street Fighter I think will have a better box
Better
office.
box off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Angel?
Yeah, no, there's a lot to quantify. Like summer's kicking off in May. And October is not really known as like sort of like a big box office draw. I'm gonna lean Street Fighter as well for a couple of reasons. One, it's PG-13, so PG-13s generally like can make more money. And I just think this looks better. That's more subjective sort of like take on it. So I'm gonna say box office wise, Street Fighter. And sort of like ratings, who do you think is gonna have like the better tomato rating?
Neither one.
Yeah.
They're both going to be at the bottom. They're both going to be at the bottom.
I think getting a good Rotten Tomatoes score for either of these is going to be a challenge for sure.
I think if they go over 40%, I would be surprised.
Okay, you think over 40% surprised? All right,
I mean, do you guys
these
disagree on that
later.
one? What do you guys think?
I pulled up this like Rotten Tomatoes article where they just like ranked 59. I don't know if you saw, I linked it last night, but Mortal Kombat, the one that came out in 2021, has a 55% Rotten Tomato score. Do you think MK2 will do better or worse?
I these scores are weird because Sonic the Hedgehog is like pretty high up there, but also I enjoyed War of Warcraft, so World of Warcraft. Like I thought that actually was a decent storyline. And I thought Minecraft was horrible. And Minecraft had a higher rating
obviously this is all subjective, but so the last two. So I
okay. I need to change. There's a 1995 Mortal Kombat at 43%, so I should change mine from like maybe less than 50%.
The 95 movie is 43%.
That's what it says on this.
Wow.
I think it's all lies.
I mean, so I rewatched that the other night too, just because I don't know. I just was watching all these movies again, and it did not hold up. Like my memory of it was way better than what it actually was. But I'm surprised
I believe that
had more than
Annihilation has a 4% Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh yeah, yeah. That movie is garbage.
Street Fighter 94 with John Claude has, I think it's 11%.
Okay, that makes sense too. I think the new one will have a higher percentage than that one.
I agree. I think the new Street Fighter will have a higher percentage than the new Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I think both of these have a chance to be over 50 based on that analysis, but I don't think you're talking. I don't think this is. Like,
they're not going for the Oscar.
No one's gonna. You don't think any of them are gonna be fresh? No fresh ratings.
No, definitely not.
I'll go on the limb. I'll say Street Fighter has a chance of having a fresh rating, just to All right, that's my prediction. All right, let's wrap it up.
I'm wrapping this bad boy up. Andy, thank you for joining us on this long episode, long and fruitful.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. This was fun.
You can also find Andy on his podcast found on YouTube, Materia Machina, where they talk about video games, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun. So thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Our pleasure. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.